Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Today is Tuesday, the 28th of April, and it already feels like the longest week ever. I can't believe it is only Tuesday. But welcome to Pep Talks in the morning. Joining me this morning as my co host is just one person today, so I'm looking forward to this tete a tete, is Mr. Anthony Defoe, Pep Deputy Political Leader. Good morning, Anthony.
Good morning, Felicia. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning, Peppers. Around the world, we are here and we are live.
We are here and we are live and we have lots to talk about. Well, maybe not lots, but we have plenty to say on the things that we have to talk about because it's another day in the Royal Imperial Majestic Banana Republic. And before we get into that, it feels like I haven't seen you in a while. I know you were on the show last week, but maybe I've just gotten so accustomed to your face. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Just trying not to complain, just trying to really deal with the environment that we have to operate in right now. We have the extension of 10 days, but we have about, what, 8, 9 days left. Um, as we can see and as we've been talking about for the past couple of weeks, the level of madness, incompetence, and it's just it's really really unbelievable to know that this is the leaders that we have giving us guidance to move ourselves forward. I mean, no one is being proactive. No one is anticipating certain scenarios. We're not having anything in place. It's unreal, Felicia, and I mean, how much more of this can we take? How much risk are we willing to allow our leaders to take us down this gloomy, dismal road? I mean, how much more? Why are we sitting down? Why is the people not truly waking up and making a real push forward in getting more sense out of the nonsense? I mean, look, we were talking about several topics today that, again, we're going to show where it simply doesn't make sense. I mean, we can jump right into it, Felicia. First topic is where are we going with this?
First topic, and for anybody who would have heard, actually, before we even start on that, yesterday Parliament was reconvened for the first time since the COVID-19 pandemic, not to discuss or debate COVID-19, mind you, but to discuss other matters such as the amendment to the Bail Amendment Act, which was actually first put forward by the People's Partnership Government back in 2014. And that piece of information is actually important because it's one of the things we're going to talk about under this breakdown. But before I get too deep into the topic, please take a moment to share the video to all your groups, on your pages, on your personal page, to your friends, because we want them to be a part of this discussion this morning. And as a little heads up, just letting you know, a little bit later on the program, we are going to interview somebody who applied for a grant because we have been looking for those elusive people who would have actually received a grant, and this person would have applied, and we're going to talk with him in a short while. But before we get into that, we're talking Bail Amendment Act. Parliament met to debate the Bail Amendment Act yesterday, and for those who don't know or are not aware, it dealt with the electronic monitoring system, or the ankle bracelets as we know them. And for anybody who would have heard the nice juicy news of a week and a half ago, the government lauded itself for the cancellation of an $80 million contract to Amalgamated Security Services Limited for the provision of transportation services for prisoners up and down Trinidad and Tobago to and from our courts, because according to the government, a bolt of lightning struck from heaven, hit them on their head, and they realized that $80 million was too much money to be spending to be transporting prisoners when they could have simply built the jails next, or built the courthouses next to the jails. Yes, that was a little joke. And I mean, I will call this bolt of lightning the Progressive Empowerment Party because we have been seeing this for over 10 years. We were not in existence for 10 years, but per political leader who was formerly an activist, a political and social activist prior to becoming the political leader of the Progressive Empowerment Party, has been constantly saying, why are we spending so much money? A contract that was awarded under the Manning administration, so maybe close to 20 years ago, that we've been paying approximately $80 million. It's actually rumored because we don't know. We only got figures coming down to the end. Well, when the contract was terminated, it's rumored that we used to pay over 100 million a year. Maybe this government or the last government managed to negotiate a $20 million discount. Because, as we're about to discover, while we applauded the removal of money from our left pockets, $80 million a year from Amalgamated, somewhere behind the scenes, that money just went back into the right pocket. Because guess what? Guess who? The people that are going to be providing, and not just providing, it was already procured and commissioned. The supply, delivery, installation, maintenance, commissioning, and electronic monitoring, installation of hardware and software, both at the main site and the backup site, is drumroll, none other than Amalgamated Security Services Limited.
There you go, Trinidad and Tobago. There you go. I love it. I love it. I love it. And again, throughout the show, Trinidad, you're gonna see where, like Felicia said, left pocket or right pocket. It's a selected group of people that is insured, basically, or well, you could almost say that they are insured. That regardless of where they lose money from one end that they are acquiring from the state, they have systems in place for themselves in order to acquire that said money through other mechanisms and ways from the said states. So, proper and perfect example there, Felicia.
Listen, I don't think you could have made this up if you were writing this into a movie script. I don't think this is something that you can imagine. It is almost so perfect. I have to say, I give them. And if my look face looks like it's on my phone, I'm sharing the video, so make sure you share it too. I have to say I give them a lot of props for being able to pat themselves on their back while knowing that they would have already secured this contract and knowing that the same person that they fired, they had already given another job to. Now, many people were saying, yes, I was expecting this, and we knew this was going to happen. But I myself, me, Felicia Holder, I was not prepared for this one. But I don't know why, because I should have been. I mean, this was one of the companies that they contracted to provide the security comfort patrols for the 2 days that Stuart Young would have contracted them for back in, it feels like a million years ago, but less than 2 weeks ago. And here we are today giving them another job, giving them more money. Well, I don't want to say more money because I'm asking the question, and I've been asking the question since I read this article less than 10 hours ago. I wonder how much money this contract is worth because, Anthony, we heard that they procured the bracelets, and we heard that it's already been commissioned, which means this has been in the works for a while.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. And not only that, aside from actually getting the contract, there must be a maintenance contract attached to that to maintain this system in itself. Um, Rolling out into the public. So you're talking it's still ongoing monies that will be dispensed from the treasury, going towards this entity. And again, I guess this again shows the level of commitment that the government have to its financiers, friends, and family. Because again, you're losing money from one pocket, but you will gain it back in the next. And that's just how the system is working. Where's the transparency? Where's the accountability? Where this whole contract is concerned. Was there a proper tendering process? What's the information that the public need to have in ensuring that this is not an underhanded deal? And again, a kickback or a facilitation to a friend and financier of the People's National Movement. You know, this is where we are. And, again, thank goodness for the Progressive Empowerment Party doing its investigative powers in getting information again, putting it into the public and letting the people know exactly the position that we're really in. Not having the wool over the people's eyes anymore is a very important factor because we're in a very unique period in our history, in our nation's history. We're really having to see what we have been dealing with and make a real decision on our way forward, moving ourselves forward, the country forward, because we cannot go down the road that we are going down right now. We simply cannot. It is not sustainable. And again, we are just simply seeing the country already doesn't have money, but you're seeing the government spending left, right, and center. Nobody says no that we weren't supposed to have this system in place. Yes, we should have the system in place. But again, how long have we had to wait before this was even initiated? Because as far as I understand, this is something that was cleared and passed and known by the state since under the PP administration, which is under the People's Partnership. Am I correct? Am
Yeah.
I correct?
It
All
was
right.
first brought to Parliament back in 2014, yes, under the PP administration.
Right. So, in reality, again, this goes to show as another example where the securing of the borders are concerned. We have the information to show that they have the file on their desk for a decade at least, knowing exactly what needs to be done in securing the nation's border and what effect it will truly have as a benefit where our crime situation is concerned. But yet to date, we still have our borders porous. We still have not secured them in any way, form, or fashion. All the talk the national security minister wants to talk about, it is still non-existent. We still have ports of entry that is not legal, that we have, whether it be guns, drugs, human trafficking, with the Venezuelan situation. I mean, it is real. It is a real situation we are dealing with here in Trinidad and Tobago. And again, we are putting the system under stress because the system in itself cannot even pacify our own nationals, far less for the 100, 200,000 Venezuelans coming into the shores of Trinidad and Tobago, far less the other people from other countries that's also coming into the shores of Trinidad and Tobago illegally. What is the real position of our nation? And again, we have all these different levels of government, central government, local government. Nobody has done a census yet. Nobody has gone down on the ground to give an actual indication of the numbers, the families, the situation in the home. Having that critical information now to be able to systematically put things in place for the actual needy. Now we know that we have a portion of the population, such as the Venezuelans and the foreigners in the country, whether it be legal or illegal, that is dealing with a situation within this crisis in itself. Okay. But in the same breath, we have our own citizens, 1.4 million of us, that is dealing with the exact same scenario. And to date, we still have not had anything pacified towards the people of Trinidad and Tobago, far less
But
the non-citizens, non-residents.
Anthony, and that is, I mean, a whole topic that we're going to get into in a short bit. But I mean, back on this bill amendment act and this electronic monitoring system, I have to say, I mean, for me, one of the first things that I thought, and the reason why I said that 2014 point and the fact that this was raised and first brought to Parliament under the PP administration is to say this, that we play. And actually, when I put out this post last night, somebody was quick, a PNM supporter, Balize, juice drinker, defender, activist, I know what to call him, blogger, paid hack. I ran out of names for them. But he came on my post and was very, he was very, he pointed out to me very, proud of himself. Do you know that this was started under the People's Partnership administration? And I have to remember to respond. Actually, I did respond to him. I said, it's very funny that the PNM never takes credit for anything once it makes them look bad. But if we hear tomorrow that the electronic monitoring system is the best thing since sliced bread, PNM going to be all of it. Yeah, UNC bring it to Parliament, but we actually implement it. But before that the whole um before we get into that, I want to go back on that point with the fact that this was raised under the People's Partnership. That was 2014. We're in 2020 now. We're in the midst of a COVID-19 pandemic. And of all things to be discussed in Parliament, it's electronic monitoring because they're actually discussing this in relation to the 1,000 prisoners that they are looking to release from jail, those 1,000 prisoners who would have committed petty crimes. I'm not sure if they're going to sneak in the people who were supposed to be released since the decriminalization of marijuana. Knowing this administration, they probably are going to do it. But it took 6 years to bring what they consider an important piece of legislation. Mind you, they argued against it when the UNC were in government, and again, playing politics with the lives of the Trinbagonians. Because if it was so important, why did it take so long to be implemented? Why was it UNC did this, so we doing this? And why? I mean, Rudolph, was it Rudolph Mulina? Yeah, he went on. He took his turn when it was time to debate the act and said, "I would like to point out that this was initiated under the People's Partnership government." And in my mind, I just heard crickets going off because I'm like, and your point is, all you have just told me is that you failed as the leading government at the time to successfully bring a piece of legislation that you considered most important. And then the PNM now coming to say they were actually want to implement it. I mean, I don't want to go into the whole politics of it because it's annoying, but that is what they do. They play politics with the people's life. You sit down and you listen. Our PRO, Janice Lemon, she always tells us to watch the Parliament channel, and it has to be something real important on, because I can't subject myself to the playroom, the playground kind of nonsense that goes on and what is supposed to be the highest level of leadership in Trinidad and Tobago, back and forth. Who did what? Who did this first? PNM, UNC, blame pointing across the tables. And meanwhile, we have prisoners, 1,000 prisoners sitting down in jail that we've been transporting up and down for $80 million. And 5 years, 6 years after spending $80 million, which is a $480 million, nearly $500 million, we're now going to pay to monitor them at home. And I'm asking for the people who defend this nonsense day in and day out, doesn't it seem, or isn't it coincidental that all of this is being done and there are people profiting and making money off of it? And isn't it plausible that this is being done intentionally for people to make money and profit off of it? I mean, $500 million, Anthony. And we now have no idea how much that same company is going to get paid to monitor the same prisoners that they were transporting for the past 20 years. Can it get more
Yes.
ridiculous? Can it get more ridiculous than that?
Well, I mean, like you said, and when you started the show, the majestic republic of the The saying that we goes, I think they're verse enough to make it even more ridiculous. That's how crazy this country is. And what we actually allow in the country in itself, in our own names, because again, this is not PNM's money, this is not UNC's money, this is the money of Trinidad and Tobago's citizens that is being used, that is being pillaged, that is being hemorrhaged out of the economy, out of the treasury. And then when we have time of need, we we here sitting down waiting for help and we can't get it. I mean, the government shows time and time again they can get the job done. Because perfect example, that same security contract with those four security firms to work alongside the TTPS, this is something that went in and out within a couple of days and they came up to a resolution. Look at Section 34. When they wanted to get to secure Ish and Steve and the likes in the middle of the night, like a bat out
In
of
the
hell,
middle of the night, like a thief in the night.
like a thief
But
in the night,
Anthony,
exactly.
but Anthony, did we hear about Amalgamated being up as a runner for this contract? Did you hear anything
Very
prior
good
to this?
question. Very good
Who
question.
was the security who was this ankle monitoring bracelet system tendered to? Which
That's right.
unit or other units would have applied to tender to monitor prisoners via ankle bracelet? Why is it that we never hear about that process, but we always hear about the person who win the tender, and well, if there was a tender or if it was sole select, but in as it pertains to public funds, shouldn't everything be tendered? And I ask the public this. I'm saying this. This is almost a rhetorical question. Shouldn't it be tendered? We are using public funds. Like I say, the same public that clapped and applauded a week and a half ago when the Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi said, "We have saved the country $80 million by canceling a contract for them to transport prisoners up and down." That same money that he applauded us for spending, shouldn't he be telling us now how much we're going to be spending in lieu of us canceling that contract? Isn't that public interest? Why do
Yes.
we allow governments to make these kind of decisions without first coming to the public and showing us a transparent process? Why? I mean, we had to do a freedom of information request just to get a breakdown of how much money the government would have spent on renovating the Red House, the President's House, and the cottage. And in doing that freedom of information request, the government was forced to put out their own list of ridiculous prices. I mean, $10 million for doors and windows. What the hell those doors and windows made of? And
Gold.
are we going to discover have to be. Are we going to discover should we do a freedom of information request into this ankle bracelet monitoring situation that we're paying an exorbitant amount of money? Because best believe Trinidad and Tobago tonight after the show, I'm going to sit down and do my research on ankle bracelet monitoring elsewhere in the world. And I need to, because I need to know when we do hear figures from this government that we are getting cost value for money and we're not spending wild, enormous sums of money for the government to come and turn around after 20 years to tell us, guess what? We saved you this now. How did you save us this when in the past 20 years you were spending that money without a thought?
Very good. Well said. Well said. And again, as a matter of accountability and transparency, the people of Trinidad and Tobago have never had a level of accountability and transparency. Is why the government over the past decades have been able to do what they've been doing without any questions being asked, without anybody holding them responsible for the actions being taken by the state. Um, and this is what is one of Trinidad's greatest downfalls. We have generations being born into the system where they know nothing better, they know nothing else. So it's the status quo of the day that they will simply hear the government doing X, Y, and Z. Nobody ask a question. It is what it is. But in reality, if it's one thing that the COVID-19 pandemic have shown us here in Trinidad and Tobago, forget about the world and other countries. We're talking about Trinidad and Tobago. What it has shown us is the level of inefficiencies within the system in itself that Trinidad and Tobagonians have to operate under. Again, there's no level of accountability and transparency where the state is conducting its affairs for the country. They are simply doing whatever they choose to do. And again, the financiers, friends, and families are always the ones that get in the better end of the stick, and the people is the one outside in the cold, dealing with all the headache across the board. And that is truly not fair. It is not right. It is not fair. We need to be in a position to really empower the people. And one of the key elements for that is to have proper finance. We talk about this Heritage and Stabilization Fund, $6 billion. That is a total failure to say that this is all the money that we have in the Heritage and Stabilization Fund, something to stabilize a nation, boy. A whole nation. You telling me that is $6 billion that we have to pacify our nation in any type of crisis, any type of need? Really? What do we really expect to gain from that? What? How far do we really expect this to take the country if the nation in itself needs to be pacified or needs to be have to get floated through a time like this with and not bringing as much distress to the population. Look, we are about to go into our next segment there pertaining towards the citizens not collecting grants. To date, I'm still waiting to find somebody who has a check in hand from the state saying that they got money from the state. And this is how much weeks into it already. Who is addressing the fact of who is eating from who is not eating? How families are surviving at this point in time? Again, we don't have any numbers on the ground where a census is concerned and having a clear idea as to the families and homes that are suffering, that are dealing with a position that they truly did not ask for. Our Prime Minister asking us to stay home another 10 days. Who is pacifying the population who do not have spending money to be buying cash, buying food, or whatever the case might be? How are we helping these people? I right now have 10 families right in Sour, and that is just a scratch on the surface. It's 10 families I directly in contact and talking to right now that do not have anything in their home to feed their family. To feed their family, Trinidad and Tobago. In fact, Pep is doing hampers right now. I have to collect some hampers to distribute to these people. This is something that we are here at Pepper. Nobody on the ground in Trinidad and Tobago should be doing. It is a responsibility by the state, and regardless whether everybody is paying taxes from everybody not paying taxes, if the state could come out and say that half of the population are paying taxes, whose fault is that? That is the state's responsibility to ensure that there's proper systems in place that can account for every citizen on the ground, and them putting their piece of the pie in helping the nation move itself forward. You talking about doubles vendors and this one and that one not paying taxes. That is not the fault of the doubles vendor. That is the fault of the state not being able to have the proper systems in place in order for the population, double vendors, and whoever else to follow. Because the same double vendor go up to Canada or go up to New York or go to England, plying the trade, selling doubles. Guess what? He paying taxes there. He is contributing to the state wherever he's operating in there. So why it can't be the same scenario here in Trinidad and Tobago? What is the rocket science about it? Really and truly is a matter of having the systems, policies, and protocols to actually be working and having people in the positions and portfolios that oversees this mechanism to have, again, responsibility, accountability, and transparency for that portfolio. What are we doing? Again, this entire exercise that we are going through with this COVID-19 is a perfect example simply to show how corrupted the state is, how inefficient the state and systems are. This is the reality we are living in right now. And again, we cannot go down this road any longer, Trinidad and Tobago. This is very, very real. And we need to wake up and come together as a people, speak in one voice, and seek the benefit for all. It is not rocket science. We can do this as a nation. We can have this as a people. It is the 141 sitting in that parliament that is ensuring us as a nation being in the position that we are in. Because none of these people that is in parliament right now can say that we truly is in a position where we can't do for ourselves. They know that we can put ourselves in a position to be able to do better for the country. They know this. They know this, but the agenda of the day is not along those lines. I am sorry. I cannot subscribe to what is taking place here in Trinidad by our leaders across the board. Across the board. Because we're talking about now redeveloping Trinidad and Tobago. What are the steps that that has been spoken about since last week? What have taken place since then to now? What discussions have taken place from then to now? There's a week gone by. Was there any round tables? Was there any invitations by other aspects and people and invested interest seekers within society to come sit and have a dialogue, to have discussion, to have a level of communication and a clarity as to how we are really supposed to move the country forward, in what aspect, in which, in at which level? We hear the Progressive Empowerment Party saying, reboot the damn republic. Reboot the republic. Take the lights off, start everything over. Everything over. Refabricate everything, amend what laws need to be amended, and make sense out of the nonsense. Who else is talking that? Who
Nobody,
else is
and
initiating anything of the sort? Go ahead, Felicia.
nobody. And I mean, I just circling back to the topic that we started off with, because like I said, there's so much to deep dive into when you discuss this topic, and it everything that you're saying there, it all relates to that. Because I mean, these questions, they may seem unrelated, but it impacts everything else. Because you want to see the direct line of impact. $80 million right now. $80 million right now is groceries for families that are in need in this country. And I say families that are in need because, like Anthony said yesterday, we put out a call for people to collect hampers, and I was overwhelmed by the response within minutes, a matter of minutes. And I mean, we only purchased 30 hampers yesterday, and that's all the donations that we had. So I mean, for anybody who is willing to contribute, $150 per family is what we're aiming for, which can get you well over 20 items, which I think is really good. We're actually going to find other groceries and suppliers that are willing to work with us. I have to big up Massy Stores Maraval yesterday for their help, in addition to the manager of Massey Stores Maraval, who dug into her own pocket and purchased two hampers to give away. And for anybody who hitting us the "we can't believe you all went by Massey" talk, please spare us. Us having issues with Massey is between us and Massey. Families being able to eat food, they don't care where it come from. And we were happy to get the assistance of this manager. We were happy that she was willing to give of her own, out of her own pockets, to assist us. And yes, we will be looking at other groceries and supermarkets, because yesterday the need was urgent. Massey Stores has a prepackaged hamper foods that we were able to go and purchase for those families in need, and they were able to benefit. But now that we have the ball up and rolling, we know what we're doing. We have the donations coming in. We have people like you watching the show and seeing and insisting that we don't go to Massey Stores, but visit other groceries. Now that we have your buy-in, most definitely we will be looking at getting supplies and visiting other businesses, other small groceries and enterprises, to assist the public. Because like Anthony pointed out, like I experienced yesterday, there is a great need. And Sorry to say, sorry, not sorry, but the majority of calls that I got yesterday, very sad to say, actually, not sorry to say, very sad to say that the majority of calls that I got yesterday were from P&M strongholds. And actually, I was relating this incident where we were um giving out a hamper to a lady in Port of Spain yesterday, and I only noticed after that I was parked outside the MP's office for Port of Spain North St. Anne's West, and a young woman was stand up in front of the door attempting to film us donating these hampers. And I mean, I don't know what was the purpose of doing that, but I will say this: if you are more concerned with filming me rather than reaching out to the very constituents that you're filming, then there's something clearly wrong with you, and you need to check yourself. You really, really need to check yourself, because Port of Spain North St. Anne's West, the people not doing well. And I have had to visit people out of my own pocket to assist them because I understand just how dire the need is. And I went, it's not pep, it's not anything. I went as me because I'm seeing it happen here in my own constituency. But like Anthony said, we should not have to be, we as private citizens, yes, we need to band together and assist where we can. But it's not our responsibility to be feeding the citizens of the nation. That's the role of the government. It is the role
Correct,
of the
correct,
government.
correct. And
I
a
just
perfect
didn't mind.
example to show too. Not meaning to cut you off there, Felicia, but you mentioned that, for example, the contract that we've been doing with Amalgamated, $80 million. This is money simply going in a direction that is there's no return and there's no true kickback to Trinidad and Tobagonians. Now, had we not had to spend that
Five
money
hundred
and we
and
were able,
thirty-three thousand. Five hundred and
what's that?
thirty-three thousand. We could have purchased with that $80 million, 533,000 hampers at $150. That is
You,
almost
you hear
half the
that?
population of Trinidad and
Tell me.
Tobago.
Exactly, exactly. And even if we didn't go down the road of hampers, we were doing the numbers some weeks ago. This is way before anybody else was talking about it. When if we had taken just for an example, 1.4 million citizens, nationals on the ground, being paid every citizen $4,000 for a 3-month block to pacify them financially would have cost the state $16.7 billion. If you multiply that by 4, that is just over 90 billion, if I'm not mistaken. 94 point or 95 point something $billion. Now, again, we were supposed to be in a position to be able to pacify that. If we had to pacify it for a year, $90 billion is 10 billion less than having a contract being paid to a financier running prisoners up and down the road for no reason for over 10 years, which equates to almost $1 billion. Easy, easy, easy. In fact, yes, correct. That is because it's
Close
80.
to 20
It's
years,
80.
Anthony. Close to 20 years. We've been paying that contract well into the billions of dollars. That is just the
Correct.
reality of the money that we have been spending. Money that, and I was starting to say earlier, and I'm making the loop back as I ended up talking about the hampers. And then I gave you the breakdown. 533,333 families could have benefited from that grant. The money that we spend, and the reason I'm raising this is because people, now that it is in need, you know that joke that we making about the people who spend the $10,000 on the carnival costume, probably watching it in the corner now and saying, I wish I could eat that. That is us as Trinidad. That's an analogy for us as Trinbagonians. Looking at the money that we have hemorrhaged, passing yesterday and watching the Red House there growing cobwebs. Well, finally they returned to Parliament yesterday, but passing the weeks
Half of it
before
there.
and seeing it, that is literally money out of the hands of the people, groceries out of the hands of the people that need it. And I say this because you wouldn't manage your budget knowing that you have $5,000 to spend and go and blow $4,500 and not have anything left to eat with, to feed it, to clothe yourself with, to pay your bills. You would manage it, you would manage your money. So why is it that we as a country? Is it just that because we had money, we just decided to spend it while we never thought that there may be a day that we needed it, that day which is now upon us? But guess what? The day is here. The day is here, and we
Yeah.
will raise these questions because guess what? We have an opportunity now to ask the right questions. 20 years ago, people should have asked the question, how much is this justice on time contract going to cost us as Trinbagonians? Are we getting value for money? And is there another solution, such as build the courthouses next to the jail? We figured it out 20
Exactly.
years later. Are we going to figure out in the next 20 years that amalgamated was not the cheapest option? We did not need ankle monitoring bracelets because a particular PEP member brought up the question and we were supposed to talk about this and we could probably talk about it now. Is ankle monitoring something that we need here in Trinidad and Tobago? So is it that we putting them under house arrest? Is it that you can't leave your homes? What exactly is this ankle monitoring process going to involve? Are we
Again,
paying for
vague
something that we
information.
do not need?
Vague information,
Exactly.
Felicia.
It's vague
That's the order I'm
information.
making.
And the TTPS is saying some, not the TTPS, I apologize. The listen to Alwari say, and I have to repeat, no, Stuart Young, monitoring those that they're going to use ankle bracelets to monitor those who are seeking protection from gender-based violence. He tug at our heartstring because we all know gender-based violence is on a rise right now, and that is a topic for later on in this program. It's tugging at our heartstrings. Gender-based violence is on a rise, so we're going to use monitoring for those who seek protection from gender-based violence. Is there else in the world that we monitor people who seek protection from gender-based violence via ankle monitor bracelets? It is so
That-
easy. It is no, Anthony. I tell you, I give this government the props. It is so easy to read the things and listen to what they say and get caught up in the hype. But it's what they're not saying. That is what Trinbagonians need to pay attention to. What they're not saying. And what they're not saying is that is not how you deal with protection orders in the United States. You file a restraining order against somebody, you don't get a paper to hand in the face and say, look, when they come in to murder you, I have a restraining order against you, stay back. That's not how it works. We don't put an ankle monitor bracelet around your ankle so that, well, actually, no, come to think of it, I'm hoping that but no, sorry, I just had that whole conversation in my head. I'm thinking maybe what they meant to say is they're going to monitor the people who they have filed restraining orders against. But then my question is, if I file a restraining order against you, unless you are guilty of a crime, I don't think I have the authority to put an ankle monitor bracelet around your ankle unless you have been charged, convicted, and released on bail for an offense. So how again it work again? These are the questions that we have to ask, and we ask them until we get the answers. Because I noticed on this program, on Plain Talk program, we have been asking questions, and then either that day or the next day, the government responds. So you know what? People who come on the thread, people who share these videos, people who send in questions to ask us, please keep doing it because we are clearly the only ones keeping this government honest. We're keeping them as transparent as they can afford to be, given the fact they are doing things that are not above board, such as this tenders process. And I'm waiting to hear who did they offer this tender out to. And we're obviously doing the job that the media, because look at how we broke this down. I read this as a report on a news program, and nowhere did I hear any of these questions being asked of the government. I didn't hear the question about who was attended to. I didn't hear the question about how much the contract cost. I didn't hear how much is it how is it going to work. None of these questions. So we here in the Progressive Empowerment Party, what we do on this program in the morning and at 8 o'clock in the night is so very critical to the shaping of the national conversation and to keeping the government honest in terms of the spending of public funds in this country.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we can't take any more, for this year. The country is in too deep of debt It's not in a proper working condition. The systems are not being addressed that needs to be addressed in order for us to have this country working in a much better form, where the citizens really is having a level of accountability, transparency, and again, the portfolios having responsibility for those portfolios. People are doing what the heck that they want, and we always sitting and finding ourselves after the fact, after checks has been written, after, I mean, it's been said and done, you know. For this year, I don't know now. Every time, especially this entire situation, we're sitting and watching it unfold in front of our eyes. We are seeing the missteps. We are seeing the deflections by the state, and not being able to answer certain questions straight out the bat. Again, we should not be having to get a freedom of information um, uh, uh, document in order to get actual information from the state that should be given to us straight off the bat without us even having to ask.
Definitely.
Why are we constantly here in this position? It just simply does not make sense. I mean, I don't know, man. The level of frustration, it is unreal. It is unreal, and I will keep going back to the fact of it is the commander and chief of Trinidad and Tobago, our prime minister, that has given the population a protocol to say everybody stay home, business people close your doors, and this is the position that we are in. There's nothing outside of that being pacified for the population. We are not getting the help and information which is necessary in order for us to really operate and have an opportunity to bounce back from this situation, really and truly. And I see it 10 days from now, depending, the state may just decide to say, all right, let's open up the country once again. But you're opening it up to what exactly? Because a lot of people already have lost their jobs, most likely will not be employed. One thing that this COVID-19 has created on the ground outside of the health risk is the economic risk that we are now faced with, simply because you have many small and medium-sized businesses and business people that is having no other choice than to close their doors. What and who and where are these people going to go to get some level of assistance or get help? Because when a man spent $100,000 to get his business up and running in 2019, and to have something like this take place, you be in a deficiency for over a month and some nearly 2 months, and you have no other choice or nowhere else to turn to, where now your business have to fail. What is the position then? What are we doing then? What is the state having to put in place to safeguard citizens in that position? Far less for the business people. Let's talk about the regular employees of those said businesses that have to close their doors. What is the ripple effect that we have to anticipate as a nation after taking such initiatives that we have in the past couple months? Have the state choose to come into the public to have this discussion? Did they come with any proposals or policies to indicate to the nation and its citizens as to exactly what can be pacified through the state in helping them move either themselves, their families, or their businesses forward with minimal risk? There's no discussion about that. It's business as
They never
usual.
did.
And again, we come down to it where you have regular people that is taking out of what little that they have in their own pockets to help their neighbor, to help people in their community, because the state is not doing it. Why? Why?
I don't know, Anthony. And but that question that you ask, and I want everybody to ask it. I want everybody to get as upset as we are, because this is the time to be upset. Is now, now is the time to hold on to these things and remember, because you know what, post COVID-19, when and if should things return to normal, which I hope they don't, because our normal wasn't a good normal. I don't want you to forget all of these things that happened. I don't want you to forget all of the questionable decisions that were made, that did not seem to benefit the interests of the average citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. And People, if you're watching the live video right now, please, I invite you to share it. I will say that at every hour because I see that, well, it's sticking on my end. I hope it's not sticking on yours, but share the video, please, and let's bring in more people in the conversation I'll be having this morning. A very important conversation on the state of the nation of Trinidad and Tobago right now. And Anthony, everything that you just said, everything that you're saying is on the button. And I mean, just wrapping up this entire discussion on the ankle monitoring bracelet system. I mean, according to Stuart Young, it's already been commissioned. The trial has already happened. So any hopes right now of I guess backing out may be very small or dismal. I don't know if enough public pressure to ask the questions, pressuring them to get the answers. I don't know if that is going to give us any of the answers that we are looking for. But
Well,
as go ahead.
Well, I would say this. The questions that we need to ask at this point is what is it cost to us, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, to maintain the system, to acquire the system, and what is the true benefit that the people are going to gain from the system in itself once it works the way it's supposed to work, of course. Because I'm not going to knock the initiative, because again, obviously it was well studied. Yes, it may have some positive effect as to its application, but do the people actually know the application in which this whole mechanism is going to work? This whole initiative is going to
That's
how
the
it's going to
thing.
work? What is going to cost us?
But that's the thing, Anthony. How is this going to work? That is what I mean. You're hearing. You're debating a bill. You're saying a contract was awarded, and I want to wrap this up because I know we spent a little while on it, but the critical details, and again, the role of the media, the role of the media, the role of the freaking ass media. Sorry, there's a lady who calls me from
Well said.
Canada, and she she calls me from Canada at the end of almost the end of every show, or at least once a week, to let me know what she liked and what she didn't like. And she said, I know Philip is the one who does curse and stuff, but you stay nice and quiet and well, I guess decent. She means to say. But
Hard
you
to
know
do
what?
that, yeah.
When I get angry enough to, I use words like ass, but the freaking ass media, and I'm repeating it here again. That is your role and your responsibility. And I didn't watch Fazir this morning, but I'm going to specifically look for his program this morning because he's one of the last few people that I see asking real and pertinent questions. He's one of the last few people that I see sticking it to the government where they need to have it stuck. And again, I mean, he was the person who was very vocal about the private patrol contract, and I really want to hear his take on what is happening with this electronic monitoring system. Again, like Anthony said, if it is beneficial for Trinidad and Tobago, then I think we as the public have a right to know everything associated with it. We have a right to know, like you said, the cost, how it's going to work, how it was procured, how long is this contract going to be for, because again,
Correct.
1,000 criminals, it seems like a lot. I don't know the cost yet, but it seems like a lot of effort for 1,000 criminals.
Well, I'll say also
Seems
say that I'll just add this 2 cents to this before you close up this little segment here. The same way they had said almost over 2 decades ago that the amalgamated contract running prisoners up and down the road was at a benefit to the people. Again, lacking the information towards the people and them knowing for fact how much of a benefit it was is almost 20 years later, and we finally now wake up to decide, okay, yes, this is not something that is a benefit to the people. We're spending $80 million a year when we only need to spend $2 to $4 million to build the courthouse right outside the jail. Full stop. That money that we normally was spending every year, that $80 million, is non-existent. Now, again, it went on for an extremely long time. and is in the same reference we are talking about where this new initiative is concerned. What is truly the benefit to the people? Is it going to save us money? Is it going to do the job that it's set out to actually do? The actual benefit to the state, to the nation. Is there other mechanisms or proposals that could be presented that possibly could save us more money and have an even greater positive effect on what it is we are trying to accomplish with this initiative? I mean, again, you said a wonderful thing just a few moments ago. The media is a key player in this, in being able to ask the questions and putting the information into the public for scrutiny, for discussion. But the media doing what? Because it's owned by who? So you see the paradox
It,
basically that we are left in as a
I
nation
do.
that is trying to move forward and develop itself and bring betterment to the people. Who is talking this? The opposition is not talking it. They are not pushing the hand of the state and ensuring a betterment for the people. I hear people talking about, oh, if anti-cams was in government, things would have been so much different. Maybe the question is how much different and how much greater benefit would the people have gotten under a UNC administration being in office right now? I truly can't say for fact, but from the track record to show, really and truly, yes, you could say that anti-cams had given out laptops for a large portion of our student body. But did the laptops last? Did the initiative of giving the laptops usher in any type of new learning curve or systems or techniques being able to utilize the technology that we now have? Even the laptops was very mediocre systems that could not have a large capacity in possibly if a student wanted to get into, let's say, graphic designing or music production or video production or what have you, and using these units in order to facilitate that. The units were not capable of handling such programs and apps for students to be able to express themselves or get themselves familiar with those particular skill sets or industries in itself. So the point is that the state, no matter who has been the leader or the political body in that parliament, they are always doing something for show to simply be able to stand on a podium and say, well, you see, we gave laptops, or we gave this, or we gave that. But at the end of it all, the true benefit which was gained by the people, what was that? How the people had a much better level of benefit with those initiatives, with those protocols, with those policies. We are saying here, the Progressive Empowerment Party Trinidad and Tobago, we are starting with 21 policies. 21 policies, that's out of 100. The 21 policies that we speak of, it's on our Facebook page, it's on our website. You can scrutinize it, you can look at it. It addresses all the major aspects we as citizens of Trinidad and Tobago and having issues and problems systematically over the decades. These policies address those issues and problems that we deal with as a citizenry to the detail. We here at the Progressive Empowerment Party also believe that implementing these policies will usher in real change for the citizen and the nation as a whole, where we can actually start a developmental curve, as to say, for Trinidad and Tobago, where real betterment is concerned. Now again, don't take our word for it. You scrutinize the policies in itself. You want to have a proper breakdown, yes. But every topic that we speak of, we have policies that can address these issues that we deal with as citizens. And again, it's about having a level of accountability, transparency, and responsibility for one's portfolio, having the citizens understand exactly the benefit that they are gaining from this. And we have to sing it, we have to sing it, we have to drive it into the minds of the people, because we cannot go down the road again the way we are going. We have been stifled for information and knowing what is better for us. Again, example, $80 million for a contract that's supposed to be non existent that went on for almost 2 decades. That money could have been applied today had we saved it for Trinidad and Tobagonians to have a buffer in this time of need and not having to wonder about our economic outlook and all of this tralala that we have the state now in a level of chaos that we still have to deal with coming where the future is concerned. Because yes, the party has started yet, you know. The party has started yet. But anyway,
Indeed, indeed. And with that, I will wrap up this, but I will wrap up on this point. You made a statement earlier, and I've heard it a couple times, many times actually, because that's just the politics that we play in this country. Flip a coin. When one side of the coin don't give you what you want, you flip it hoping to get something on the other side. And guess what? It's the same side of the coin. But
yeah,
anyway, you said, people saying if UNC were in office, they may have done it differently. My only response to that is, Anthony, as a businessman, and you taught me this, I have seen you hire and fire a couple of employees. And one thing I've never seen you done was rehire somebody that you fire. So, Trinidad and
correct.
Tobago, take that for what it may be. We're going to take a real quick break, 30 seconds. Max, please join us at the end of this very short break because we are going to be discussing the grants and taking a call from somebody who actually applied for a grant and is waiting. Stay tuned for that.
Antel is Trinidad's most reliable and technically experienced ICT company, providers of quality structured cabling, Cat6 data fiber, and power cables. We also stock cabling infrastructure basket-type cable trays for server rooms and data centers. Antel also installs and maintains video security systems including cameras, alarms, and electronic entrance locks for businesses and residential properties. Call Antel 674-1406 or 783-9250.
We are back, we are back, we are back. And just to let you know, from that discussion that we had on the Bail Amendment Act and the electronic monitoring system or the ankle bracelets, the question of the day comes out of that discussion, which is, do you believe that we need an ankle monitoring system here in Trinidad and Tobago? And I invite you to make those calls at 9:30, which is when we will open the lines for you to talk your talk. But in the meantime, we're moving on to the discussion on grants. Now, the finance minister has proclaimed that of the 30,000 grants, the first 1,000 grants, which is what, 10%? No, less than 10%. My math, guys, I don't, please, if you see me say something like this and then you see me look at my phone, it's because I'm using a calculator. And to the teacher who helped me get a distinction in mathematics, I apologize. A lot of that went through the window because I did common entrance, and most likely I would have probably been taught to repeat and whatever I learned in mathematics, and maths is not my strongest suit. So best believe, should the Progressive Empowerment Party get into government, I will not be your Minister of Finance, but I will delegate to the right people to, to manage the finances of the country and the party, which I do. Anyway, back on the issue, which is that of the 30,000 grants, 1,000 has been approved to be released today and should hit people's accounts by tomorrow. And I don't know what to say because of today's what? April the 28th. We shut down this country roughly. 5.5 weeks ago. Yeah, we told people if you're not essential, stay home, which meant that some people did not work, some people did not, um, well, some people were retrenched, some people are not certain what is going to happen after this. And since then, they would have received approximately or a little bit over 30,000 applications for grants. And we've been asking people for the past month, basically, have you received your salary relief grants as yet? Because, like I said, it's about 5 going on 6 weeks that we're home. People not working. People have to eat. People have bills to pay still. And they have been wondering,
Why?
we have been wondering,
Why?
are people,
Why, Felicia?
why what? Why they have bills to pay?
Why
I
are
know
we
that is
still
a
having to
picture
pay
here.
bills?
And Anthony, I know that is a pet peeve for you, and we definitely going to give you a room to go to town on that. But people, they still need to live, right? And we've been asking the question, and again, I have to thank this party, this show, this platform that we have to be asking these questions because I know it's one that we've raised a couple weeks now. So I listened to the finance minister say that even though they received applications 2 weeks ago, lie, they are just processing the results, the people who have been approved for it. If they did only receive applications 2 weeks ago, one, it's because your system was cumbersome and you wanted people to go and print out forms from a website, find their old employer who would have closed down their business, find their tanty brass eyes, all of that information just to get $1,500. So if you did get it 2 weeks ago, maybe that can explain why. But of 30,000 people, we are now about to release the first 1,000. And he's saying that they are prepared to process up to 100,000 people. I do not understand that when in a day we're only doing 1% of that 100,000. You see, I did that math. I did that math. I'm not that bad. But it's easy figures. But no, no, no. We only processing 1% of the 100,000 that we prepared to pay and less than 1% of the 30,000 people who would have applied for the grant. And I'm trying to understand this concept. I'm really trying to understand this concept right now because in my opinion, in the opinion of the people who are waiting, who are calling my phone right now while I'm on this program, I'm sorry I can't take your calls because I know you're calling me about the hampers that we're doing. Please call me anytime after 10 a.m., which is when this show wraps up. I know they're calling because they need assistance. And I have to bring up the last topic that we discussed because during COVID-19, we were able to implement a contract that holistically deals with a system that I believe would require a lot of integration, research, trial testing, implementation, contracts being drafted, um, systems for monitoring according to them. We managed to implement a whole ankle bracelet monitoring system. And to date, we have yet to pay even 1% of the people who would have reached out to get a grant.
Well said, well said, well said. You could not have said it any better. Any better, Felicia. Really and truly. And that is a point of example simply to show, because again, the financier, friends, and family of the administration of the present day can be ensured that they will get what kickback, what contract, whatever the case might be in order to pacify them. But to pacify the population is like jumping through hoops that on fire is what the people of Trinidad and Tobago have to literally deal with, because I am saying to
Real hoops we
date,
jumping
no
through.
citizen has gotten any type of grant or assistance directly from the state. to date, because I'm still waiting. We still made the call weeks ago up until present day, and we can't find one citizen that will come and say, well, look, I collect a check, or look, I collect a hamper, or whatever the case might be. I mean, it is sickening to simply have to identify and talk about this. And these are people doing this in the name of the citizen, in the name of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. I'm still waiting to hear what part of the population tell them that it's okay for them to go and initiate a bloody contract for security forces to work alongside TTPS, or to take the same initiative with the ankle bracelets and have a contract already signed, set, and sealed, and all of a sudden go in and roll out for the nation. Yet nobody in the population has had discussion. I still waiting to hear where the tender for that went out, because I know for a fact there are many tech companies in Trinidad and Tobago that is able to provide the exact same service, and I am sure that service cost would have been at a fraction of the cost as to what it is the state is about to pay right now for that said initiative. So again, the question stands still, how much we paying for this system where this ankle bracelet business is concerned, and what is the maintenance cost to the country and the citizens in order to have this rollout and maintain for a longevity period of time. What is that? What is the cost factor per year maintenance is concerned? What is the initial cost to the people to have this system on the ground here in Trinidad to begin with? What is the training costs, and so on? Again, vague information by our leaders. And we supposed to take
Vague
that, put that
slash
in the pipe
no
and smoke it.
information. Vague slash zero information. Some of these things you're asking and you're talking about is no information at all that we're getting on it. Is me, Trinidad and Tobago, PEP raise activists raising these issues, and I'm expecting to see social media ablaze today with the news of that contract. But back on the grant though, one of the reasons he said, and you raised this, Anthony, earlier in the show. He said one of the problems with processing the grant is that so many people from the informal sector, 32% of the people who applied were from the informal sector, meaning fancy words for saying that they don't pay taxes, and they aren't registered, or they don't have information with NIS and PAYE, etc. So, which means, of course, that this would have prevented them from processing the grants as quickly as they should have, which I call BS on. I use one curse
Yes.
word for the day, and I don't use any more just to make sure that Sandra from Canada doesn't call me and give me a tongue lashing. So I would I would use BS. So I call BS on that because as of right now, two things. One, I spoke to an economist, a man that I greatly respect, Mr. Patrick Watson, and when we had that whole debate on KFC versus doubles, and he was saying that the informal sector, for all the hullabaloo about them not paying taxes, they actually do contribute quite significantly to our economy. So trying to sideline them and treat them as if they should not be, or treat them as if they are not deserving of the same grants that tax-paying citizens do, I think is unfair, because they are
Yes.
consumers just like the man who pays taxes. They actually probably
Correct.
prop up a even greater. I don't want to say, let me don't make proclamations that I can't back up, but I know he said they contribute quite significantly to overall annual GDP of the country. And they are regular citizens just like us. And you know what? Besides the doubles vendors, they are hairdressers, they are barbers, they are makeup artists, they are people in society that we have no problem paying on a regular until we hear that they're not paying taxes. But we knew this all the time. We knew this all the time. But what does a makeup artist and a hairdresser and a barber have to do with being a citizen of Trinidad and
Ah,
Tobago, from the soil,
yes.
working here, consuming here, and adding back to the economy in ways that may not be through NIS or through taxes, but is significantly adding to the overall collective pot of our economy as a nation. So 32% of people not being formally registered or being part of the informal sector, I will say that one, that is no reason to shun them. And like Anthony points out, we had enough money to give everybody $4,000 over a period of time. That's one. And two, the fact that we have so many people, like you said again, Anthony, under the informal sector is testament to the failure of government to manage. Because
That's
isn't
right.
that the responsibility of government to ensure
That's
that
right.
I remember back in the days of Caesar, they used to go around from house to house collecting taxes, and I'm not saying that we have to
Correct.
return to that, but you all made sure you went and knock on doors to assess people's property value when you needed to collect property tax. Where is the board? Where is the committee? Where is the group to do the same for the business owners in Trinidad and Tobago? Where's the people looking at the registry of businesses in Trinidad and Tobago and comparing it to the registry of people paying taxes? Where is that? That is your job, not mine. It's not my fault come um come COVID-19 pandemic. It's not fair that you blame it on me and me being the people who don't pay taxes or who are part of the informal sector for your failure to manage.
Very true. Very, very true. Wonderful point. And that's the fact right there. The governments of the past and present are the ones that has failed the people. And in a pandemic as such as what we are dealing with, that the population did not ask for. And again, it is our commander in chief, our prime minister, that has indicated to the population, everybody stay home, everybody close the business. The point is that the state was supposed to have a proper systematic system and protocol in place in order to pacify the situation that we are dealing with. Now, that in itself also shows where does the citizen actually own a piece of the pie here in Trinidad and Tobago? Because it is not every citizen that is getting a grant. It is not every citizen that is being seeked of, whether you have money or not, whether you are in a position or not to take care of yourself and your family. It is the state's responsibility to have a protocol in place. If you are the said state that is telling everybody to stay home and close your business, you are supposed to have protocols in place in order to pacify the said citizens that have to stay home. And you cannot complain about the fact of what portion of the population is not paying taxes, because again, that shows the gross incompetence of your administration in order to allow such a thing to happen on the ground in Trinidad and Tobago. And then now in a time of need, you want these said people to be the ones to feel the brunt of the pressure and the chaos and to be the ones to take the hit. No, it should not be that way. And again, this environment shows beautifully how our country is broken. The systems do not work, and there's no real benefit for the citizenry across the board. I don't care what anybody's saying. At the end of the day, in my mind, personally, Anthony Defoe believe that it was the state's responsibility for every citizen to be able to have access to a grant if they needed it. Whether you have money or not, it is supposed to be the right of the citizen to be able to receive a grant in order for them to pacify themselves in whatever way, form, or fashion where that grant is concerned. And if you have the whole country closed down, here this could work perfectly. Yeah? If you have the whole country closed down, the economy has been frozen, and you want to restart the economy, whether it be a month, 2 months, or what have you, down the road. The point of the matter is, if people have money in their pockets, it is as if the state in this time is investing in its citizens, and even though there's nowhere to spend that money, possibly, the point is that when we do restart the economy, we have a population on the ground, 1.4 million people, that have something in their pocket to inject into the system, into the economy, straight out of the gate, straight out of the back, out of the system. At the end of the day, this in itself is what would help our economy push itself forward. Nobody says that we're going to still deal with missteps or deficiencies along the way. But the point is, we would not be in the level of deficiency that we are presently in and digging ourselves even deeper before we have these restrictions lifted, before we try to restart the economy and get things rolling and moving again. This is simply a sign of the gross incompetence that our leaders are presenting to our citizens here in Trinidad and Tobago. And it's unacceptable. It's total failure. Total failure. And again, that goes for both sides of the fence, both PNM and UNC, because UNC as the opposition is supposed to be doing the said job that the PEP is doing right now, keeping the present day government at in a level of accountability, having to answer to the people and gearing them and guiding them a way forward that can bring minimal risk to the population at large. But we have people right now suffering. Look, I leaving after this live is done, after this show is done. I am going into San Juan to go and meet some other families right now that is crying out for help that they are not receiving from the local level government, from their councillors. They are not receiving from central government as their MPs or ministers. That is not receiving from anywhere or anyone but their neighbor. Why? The said neighbor that also is deficient, that is also dealing in the same situation, that also has to ration for their own family. But because of the goodness in people's heart, is why a man would take out of the 2 pound of rice he have, he would take a half pound or a pound and pass it to his neighbor or spread it around a couple of people in the area that is in need. And again, this is something that should have been catered for where the state is concerned. We did not ask to be in this position. It is something imposed upon us. Yes, it's a global pandemic. Yes, it's a global situation. But with that said, the point is that we can't study so much the globe. We can't study so much what's happening outside the shores of Trinidad and Tobago. We need to keep concentration on what is happening right here on the ground to our own brothers and sisters, to our own citizens, to our own industries, to our own economy. This is where our focus needs to be. But yet, is it? No. We still spending billions in contract, millions in contract. We still not hearing about the tendering process. We still not knowing who it is pulling contract from who and doing what and all of this tralala that we're dealing with. Still in this time, imagine that. In this time of chaos. My question, my question is this. Is the state actually doing this as their own agenda for another reason that the population truly does not know about? Is it because we're in an election year and it's possibly time that they are trying to buy for themselves for whatever mechanisms or protocols they are trying to set out for where the upcoming election is concerned? What is it? I am trying to wrap my head around the reasoning behind the actions of our leaders, and it making no type of sense. And these are people again with masters, doctorates, and bachelors. Yes, you have all the education, you have all the book sense in the world, you have all the degrees, more than a damn thermometer. But yet, the actions that you are taking is making no type of real sense or benefit to the people, to the nation, to the system, to the economy, to anything. To anything. It's not making sense. And why are we still walking down this road and watching the brick wall coming towards us and running directly into it? What is the reasoning behind what? I don't know what to say again. I don't know what to do again. As a citizen on the ground, have to sit down and watch this environment. I don't even know what my position is going to be when this restriction is lifted as a businessman, where my businesses are concerned. I have my employees crying to me right now who don't have food, who don't look. Wasa talking about, I have somebody right now in Central that they haven't seen water for almost a week. And when water come, the water black. And yet Wasa still want to charge you a bill at the end of the month, and you're supposed to be okay with that. You're supposed to hush them out and just pay a bill and move on. I listen. It is so unfair to the citizens in Trinidad and Tobago right now. I just had to pay a bill that I was forced to pay because I was threatened literally that, well, it's nothing that we can do. We will just have to cut the service, and whenever you could pay, you could pay. And my question is that it is unfair that the citizens have to be pressured, whether it be by landlord, whether it be by banks, whether it be by utility companies, by whomever, in this environment, one again that we did not ask for as citizens, We never asked for this. It is something imposed upon us, and we are following the rules and protocols of the state and of our Prime Minister, our Commander in Chief. But is our Prime Minister seeking our interest truly? Is the state seeking the people's interest truly? Because again, we have within local manufacturing our flour mill and other areas where we could have had a protocol instead of people, their neighbor, and so on, trying to help feed certain families across the country. That, again, this is something that the state should have had in this, ensure that people have flour, oil, rice, and certain food stuff or items that is easy and non-perishable, that has some level of longevity, and dispense that among the population. Again, they have your local level government. What is their purpose of even being in existence? What? You have your councillors and all these bodies that is getting a salary from the state. Put these people on the ground, let them do a proper census in each 41 constituencies of Trinidad and Tobago, and let us have a clear idea as to who are the haves and who are the have-nots. Let us drill it down to the people that need true help, whether you paying taxes or not. This is a humanitarian crisis. This is a health crisis. This is that the population, again, did not ask for. It's been mandated to us by the state in order for us to stay home and quarantine ourselves. We are not making money. We are not able to pay bills. We are not able to go out and work. And the point of the matter is, the state has not taken these things directly into account for the population at large. Forget about who needed from who needed. 1.4 million nationals that we have on the island. The state's supposed to have a national ID number for all citizens. Issue the check from there. Who needs it? Come and collect. Who don't need it? It stays right there. There's a period of time or a threshold in which you are supposed to collect this check, or some type of system indicating as a citizen, and have it mailed out to them or have it deposited directly into their accounts or whatever the case might be. But again, like you said earlier in the show, Felicia, it is too much red tape. It is too much headache to try to even fill out the forms. I did a test live 2 weeks ago. Unfortunately, I'm having a internet problems right now, so we were supposed to have a show launched weekend gone, but unfortunately we weren't able to launch it. But the week before that,
It
having a
seems to
test, I
be
had a
working
document
really, really
indicating
well,
the
though.
form the forms. In fact, hold on, this right here, you see this form right here? This is the form. 6 pages. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6 pages
Well,
of
well,
useless
Anthony,
information in my book as to why a citizen should be able to receive a grant if they have need for it. You can't quantify whether a man working or he's a businessman, or if he have money from, if he ain't have money. It is the right of the citizen to be able to have access to the grant. Period. Full stop. If all 1.4 million citizens accept the grant, the country should be in a position in order to pacify 1.4 million of its citizens for the grant within this situation, within this environment. Case closed. We should not be arguing who should be getting from who should not be getting. That should be non-existent in this environment, because again, the haves and the have-nots, neither side asks to be in the position that they're in today. So again, what it is we doing? What is our leaders actually doing for the population, for the people of the country of Trinidad and Tobago? What kind of sense could we make out of this nonsense? Really and truly. And how much more of this can we take? 6 pages. Look, Trinidad, look, six,
what I'm
six.
going to interject and say, Anthony, is that well, I know I can't. It's very hard to stop you when you reach to the boiling point. But I again, I have to give Pep and this show and the Plain Talk show kudos for all of the work that it has been doing, because the government was in denial that the forms were difficult to fill out. But while in denial, though, and sorry for the ring just now there, we still have to call this gentleman who applied for the grant to hear his story as well on that 6 page process that he had to go through. But thankfully, after some pressure from people like us and other I guess other people in the population of the Trinidad and Tobago Republic, they have finally decided to revise the forms and make them much simpler for people to fill out after denying that the forms were difficult to fill out in the first place. But again, we know how things work with this government, and I mean, if the pressure that we applied on them led to this result, I am only going to apply more. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. The pressure has to be applied, and we must bring awareness to the environment that we're in, the missteps that's being taken, and what are the risks that the population is actually faced with. We must present something proactive. We must bring major awareness to the population across the board, both to the haves and the have-nots. Everyone is in this because, again, there's nowhere for us to run. Trinidad and Tobago, this is something that is not segregated to just us here on our twin isle. This is something that is global. Every country is seeking the benefit and interest of its citizens. Why are we not doing this? Why the citizens aren't the ones that is first and foremost? Because that's the lifeblood of the country. If the country or the state needs to ensure that we have a level of taxes coming in, don't you think it's protocol? It should be protocol. It should be number one initiative to ensure that you are able to account for every citizen on the ground, as well as have the proper systems and protocols in place to ensure every citizen paying their taxes. That also means that you have, as a state, to ensure that every citizen can be employed and could be in a place financially that they can contribute to the national pie. It is a no-brainer situation, Trinidad and Tobago. It is a no-brainer situation. But to date, administration after administration, we still in the same place. We still talking the same thing. We have calypsos 30 years ago that singing the exact same thing that we are dealing with today in 2020. That says plenty. It shows that we have not gone or moved anywhere as a nation. In fact, we have not moved forward, we've moved back.
I wanna at this time, Mr. Producer, I am messaging you because we have the caller waiting to call in, as well as I would have liked to take a break, but unfortunately I can't anymore. We are going to go straight into that call with Mr. Quasi. Not going to give his last name out of respect for his privacy, but Quasi, I am going to be calling you right about now to do that interview with you as it relates to the grant application that you put in and where you are in terms of that process. Let's hear from Casey.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Tracy.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Tracy. You're live on Pep Talks in the morning with myself and Anthony Defour.
Morning,
Okay,
morning,
thank
Gay.
you. Thank you for having me on the panel this morning.
Yes. Now, Kwesi is he is a member of, well, I know him from the Port of Spain Non-Sit Anne's West constituency. He's part of my Burgess, and I had a conversation with him last night where he let me know that he applied for this salary relief grant, and he was actually giving me an insight into it. So, Kwesi, from start to end, let me know what led to this application. Well, I'm assuming that you needed to apply for the grant because you are either not working or were laid off. What is your situation?
Okay, well, now I am one out of the many that was retrenched from the job because of this unfortunate pandemic. So I understand how a lot of people are feeling right now, and us let us not forget the people who were working on a daily or weekly salary. Now, the problems that I had, that I have to address, there are too many questions being asked of citizens of this country. First of all, there are not much people that has a bank account. Two, you have to get your employer's information. And from my personal experience, it took me a while to get that information with a lot of persistence, right? But the Venezuelans could go with their registration form and got grants. No, that sickens me to see that our own people, we the citizens put in office to represent us, have disregarded us like that, the snap of a finger. As I grew up with my grandparents, they always advised me, do unto others as you would like others to do unto you. Now, don't get me wrong, eh? I am all for helping our desperate neighbors, but home comes first. How could you, as a leader, advise your people to either stay where they are or find their own transport back? Yet you knew the risk in allowing a cruise ship to dock in our waters, knowing it came from Italy. Now, this is really, really hurtful. As a citizen of Trinidad, that born and grown in Trinidad, never left, I'm sorry to say, right? And I have to be facing this. You understand me? I have to be going through so much of questions on a form. And then on top of it, right, where we live in Belmont, we have to go by the Belmont police station to get a form. When you reach there, they're telling you they are out of forms or they haven't received yet, you know? And I had to no connections within the Belmont police station to get a form. No, tell me if that is trying to help us or sabotage.
It sounds more like sabotage. And how I wanted to ask, how long ago did you apply for the grant?
I applied for the grant probably a week after they said that it was available.
Which would have been back in
4 weeks
early
ago.
April,
Yes.
about 4 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
And you applied as in you filled out the form and you dropped it in at that time?
Well, no, as I said, I had a lot of problems getting my employer to deal with this thing because I had to carry the form to him for him to sign up that form, for him to put his personal information. And Mr. Anthony will know how disrespectful in that manner that is.
Yeah.
So, honestly speaking, it was too hard. It was very hard. And
And
I still haven't received a phone call or a statement in my mail stating that I might be that 1,000 of people collecting tomorrow.
well, that was going to be my next question to you. Since you dropped in your application, have you heard anything from the relevant authorities?
No, I haven't.
A call?
Not a call, not an email, not a post mail, nothing.
So is there any way for you to know that your form was filled out correctly?
No, actually.
And has that been one of the things on your mind? Have you considered whether they may or may not have accepted your application?
Yes, that was on my mind. Matter of fact, it was so troubling that it reached to the fact that I am thinking that it may not have reached to them.
I would like to think that it did, and I mean, I'm guessing if you have not heard from them now, then you may not be one of the first 1,000 people to get the grant. But I mean, they're saying that they are capable of processing up to 100,000 applications. So I am hoping for your sake that it happens sooner rather than later. But I mean, in the meantime, you still have to survive. What has it been
Yes,
like for you?
it has been very stressful, probably for the last 3 weeks, because it is now from when I was retrenched, I had my little savings. Now, everybody, I believe, supposed to have some little savings after they were retrenched from their work or, they had to stop from being on the roadside in their little hustle and these things. So they will have a little time frame to maintain themselves and their household. But how much could they have done with this length of time they have old people from being granted? Look at yesterday. A non-favored party, i.e. the PP, I'm just being an adversary, was in a lot of stronghold constituencies giving out support relief. Now let us not forget the NGOs that they have been doing their part in the frustrations that was building by the citizens under this line and mismanagement of our government. It's sad to see now on TV6 News and the front page of the Express that the Minister of Finance, Mr. Ilbert, is telling the public now that 1,000 jobless will be receiving their grants in banks tomorrow. Only 1,000. So what happened to the other 29,000 jobless people that needs to receive grants? And why so long? People had to wait 4 weeks. That is basically the whole lockdown period and still have 2 more weeks to endure. That is ridiculous. That is utterly ridiculous.
It is. And
Yeah.
I mean, Anthony, I don't know if you have any questions for Kwesi at this point.
Well, Kwesi, you've answered basically what we've been talking about for the past few weeks, and you are a perfect case study to show that as a citizen, you have not gotten the assistance that you need from the state. And again, you did not ask to be in the position that you're in right now. You're right now in a position where you've
No,
possibly lost your job, not being able to have employment when this restriction has been lifted. What is your position and your family, if you are the breadwinner in your home? What is your position from this point on? Who is addressing that? And where can you truly get the level of
exactly.
assistance that you need now? Because if your child hungry home now, you still had to wait until tomorrow to even collect that grant. And that is if your name is within the first 1,000 names that they have indicated is receiving these grants, if your name is included in that. So if it's not included, how much longer do you have to wait now for your application to actually get to be pushed through? And again, you signed this up over what? Over a
Exactly.
month ago? Over a month ago, and you're telling me that the state has dragged its feet for so long in not knowing what it is that needs to be done in assisting the population, and you are only able to dispense presently 1,000 checks or 1,000 grants
Yeah.
that has equated over 40,000 people, and that still is a drop in the bucket because you have over 500,000 people that is living below the poverty line. So what about them? What are they supposed to do?
What's the problem?
The position is not right and correct
I
for
have
you
a
guys, and you know
brother
what?
who only sells water on the roadside with his little trolley. He has to maintain himself from selling that water to every on a daily basis. If he is not able to go out there and sell that water, what is his position now? He has to be begging just like everybody else, from neighbor to neighbor, from house to house, to ask for help. And that is ridiculous. He, as a person
Yes.
who has born and grown in this country as a citizen, right, has to go through that torment. And yet again, I have to say, right, that people, foreigners that come into our country, is being able to get grants before us. That is ridiculous.
My comment on that, because I've heard, I haven't followed up much on it, but I am hearing that it is easier for the immigrants
Jenny,
to get to access the grants from the government. And I will echo your sentiments. You've been born here, bred here, lived here all of your life. The same way it should be made easy for them, it should be made easy for you. Actually, it should be the other way around. The same way that it is should have been made easy for you is how it should have been made easy for them. But we have a very nasty habit in this country of putting the cart before the horse. So it's not a surprise to me that the people who were not born here would get through faster than the people who have been living here all their life. Again, this is no ponging to anybody who has to get a grant, who has to receive funds. You are a human being, whether you come from Ghana, Africa, Venezuela, or Saudi Arabia, and you are on our shores and you are in need, you should be able to access the help. But same goes to the citizens of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Tracy, thank you very much for sharing your experience with us. We've been asking for this question for the past couple weeks since the announcement about the grant came out, and we've been asking this question because we wanted to know if there was anybody who was successful in actually receiving the grant. I guess that question pushed the government to put out the information yesterday that 1,000 grants would have been processed, but again, it does not eliminate and take away from the fact that we have many other people, 29,000 people like you and others who are still waiting to get that call. And I mean, like I told you last night, the Progressive Empowerment Party is here for you as much as we can be. We don't have access to treasury funds. We don't have deep pocket financiers, but from the little that we have, we are here to help you. Just reach out to me if you need, right?
Would I add, I am totally grateful that the PEP have been out there for quite a while trying to educate and open people's eyes in what is happening in this country pertaining to the politicians and the politics that happen in this country. Believe you me, I have to say it's not politics that we have in our country, it's harlotry.
Indeed, indeed.
That's
Thank you very much for that, Kwesi, and we will definitely be in contact with you going forward.
Thank you very much. Enjoy your day.
You too. Take
you
care
too.
and bye bye.
All right.
Well, you just heard from the horse's mouth, somebody who would have applied for that salary relief grant. What exactly is happening? What is the situation? I mean, he spoke about his situation. He also mentioned his brother who used to sell water on the roadside. Probably another one of those persons registered in the 32% of that informal sector, but another person who, on a hot day, driving down the highway, had he pulled his trolley and offered and handed you a bottle of water, you would have gladly handed him that $5 to buy it. Can't forget the people who have been there when we did not even think twice about whether they were paying taxes or not, and who, now that this situation has hit us, are in a period of real and dire need. We really can't turn our backs on people of the soil of Trinidad and Tobago. Somebody mentioned on the video that these people pay VAT, and they pay taxes in other ways that we don't formally register. But again, like I said, true consumption contributes to the national GDP. Somebody also said on the live that it is very disheartening, I'm paraphrasing, to hear a government that has tax-free status on most, if not everything, complain about people who don't pay taxes. What taxes do the government ministers pay? None that I know of, unless, like us, they pay VAT at the grocery store. We have just under 15 minutes left for the program, and I'm going to open up the lines for anybody who would like to call in. We touched on a couple things today, the main topic being that award of the ankle bracelet monitoring contract to Amalgamated Security Services Limited. I asked the question earlier in the program, do you think that that contract is of a benefit to us here in Trinidad and Tobago? It's supposed to assist in the monitoring of the first 1,000 prisoners to be released from prison sometime within the next couple days or weeks. It was supposed to be for the COVID-19. I guess because we did not have the systems in place, maybe the contract wasn't signed yet on the dotted line. We did not release the prisoners yet. So, as I said, the lines are open, 769-4590. Call in to talk your talk. If you want to talk on anything else, we still have, I mean, like I said, we touched on many things today. Anthony, anything you want to say in this last 15 minutes? Did I lose Anthony, or is it my connection? I have no idea. So I am going to follow on Facebook and see if Anthony's lips are moving or if it's my screen that is stuck. I'm also reading some of the comments on the live video. If anybody is would like to drop a comment there, I know some people are very shy, so they wouldn't want to speak out. I'm reading from Charmaine Perez. Trinidadians need to wake up and see that for all these years things are getting from bad to worse. Make a change. And Charmaine can have said it any better, more simply, for the people who are not aware, who don't understand what it is we are about, why we do what we do on this show. It is for citizens to realize and become aware, to wake up to the reality of what is taking place. Nikisha Seeley on the live. This government spending money on ankle bracelets for prisoners to come out here and starve just like the rest of us. I'm going to take a call now. Hello, good morning. You're live on Pep Talks in the morning.
Good morning, Felicia.
Good morning.
And Anthony. Good morning, guys. Great show this morning. Great show.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so I've been following it, yes. And I just pulled up something here which I want to share with the audience and you guys. It's from equaljusticeunderlaw.org. Take a note of it. It's concerning the anchor bracelet, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what they're saying here, anchor monitors put parolees at risk of debt and unemployment, which is something I don't know if we are looking at that down here, right? For instance, there's a setup fee for anchor monitors, which is between $175 US and $200 US, a setup fee. Now we also have a daily fee of $5 US and $40 US. Some of the parolees must wear these monitors for years. So think about it. You're wearing these monitors for years, and the parolees, they have to pay for it. Now, I don't know if they're going to be doing that down here. If, you know, who's going to be paying for these
I'm
things,
not hearing.
for them and these guys, and, you know, are they going to be paying for it? Is our mater going to be paying for it? Who is going to be paying for it?
I am sure that written into that contract, money and 10 times, 20 times, 100 times more than that is going to be recovered. I mean, you asking the questions that we are asking, figures and numbers. We want to see a breakdown of exactly what this is going to cost. And I like that you brought, I don't know if you mind sharing that link to that article, if it is an article on the live video, because I am going to do my own investigation today into ankle monitoring system. And Anthony, I think we just lost you again. I saw you when you came back, but I was on a call, so I didn't acknowledge you. I apologize for that. But if you come back on, we do have a couple of minutes left for you to make your contribution.
All right. And it goes further to show you how this causes a very bad cycle of poverty. You know, it says, like, for instance, step one, people lose their jobs after incarceration because of the ankle bracelet. The monitors are strapped, etc. They have to, there's one very important point here. The parolees, it's very hard for them to find employment with this bracelet around their ankle. This is something we have to take into consideration also. But okay, I'll post it on my page for you guys, so you guys will get more on the article.
Okay. Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Thanks a lot.
And thank you for calling. I just missed a call, so if you were trying to get through on the live program, please feel free to call back. I'm going to go ahead and read some of the comments. The kind of money that has been withdrawn from the HSF fund, every citizen could have been given enough funds to buy supplies for at least 6 months. But to date, where's the value to show for our funds? Make no mistake, this is the taxpayers' money, not the government money, and not the government's. And this is a comment from Indarjit Mohan Singh. Anthony, yes, you're back on. I did not acknowledge you just now because I was on a live call. Apologies for that. But
No, that's fine.
we are taking calls during these last couple minutes of the program. Somebody just called and I had to unfortunately reject your call because I still had the caller on the line. please feel free. You can be the last caller if you want to say your say, have your say on the program before we wrap up for the day. just just reading the comments on the live here, and in agreement with everything that I'm seeing, what the caller just said as well. In terms of the ankle monitoring system, what does this mean for employment for the people who are released from jail? We know for a fact that employment is already extremely difficult for you to get if you are a prisoner. Now you're wearing an ankle monitoring system. Now, again, if it is necessary, and you can show me how it is necessary, and you can show me how we're not spending money and well wasting money or having money hemorrhage through inflated costs and kickbacks, I'm again all in favor. But that comes with being able to be transparent about this entire process, and that factor is what we are missing and what we're talking about. We have another call coming in. Hello, good morning. You are live on Pep Talks in the morning.
Oh, live?
Oh, you are calling about the hampers?
Yes.
Oh, well, we're on the program right now. You can call me anytime after 10 o'clock and I will take your information. But in the meantime, feel free to send me your name, and what area you're from, so we can coordinate a delivery to you.
Wait, do I WhatsApp it?
Pardon?
How should I get send it to your WhatsApp?
Yes, WhatsApp it to me or text.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. People, if you're calling me about hampers, my apologies. I'm on the show right now, but I will be off in about 5 minutes or less. But feel free to text me your information. In the meantime, your name, your address, and you don't have to give me your full address, but the area where you reside, your name, the area, and well, I would have your number if you send me that text message. I was also going to read a comment from Indarja. There's a shortage of CDAP medicine due to the shortage of staff. Many citizens aren't getting their medications, especially metformin. Metformin. I'm not sure what that drug is. Maybe he can explain to me. I've heard the name before, but I'm not sure for what illness it is used to treat. I will use the last 3 minutes, Anthony, before I give you the opportunity to wrap up, to say that we are still doing this hamper drive, yes, and as many calls as we're getting to pick up hampers, we need just as many calls offering donations, please. $10, $5, $20, the whole $150, which is what we're aiming to spend per family, able to give them the basics to carry them out for a couple weeks again as we wait out this stay-at-home order. Please, if you can donate, 769-4590, call me. We need your help as much as possible. Anthony, I'm giving you this time to wrap up because I know you like to talk your talk.
All right, you hear me there, Felicia?
Yes, Anthony, I'm hearing you.
Hello?
Yes, I'm hearing you, Anthony. It's a diabetic medication.
Right.
Okay, I just got that information.
All I would say is
I don't know if it's on my side, Anthony, but you seem to be breaking up a whole lot.
the population.
So I am not sure exactly what is happening, but I think.
Close it out. Close it out, Felicia.
All right, yeah, Anthony, because you're breaking up a lot. Trinidad and Tobago, thank you for joining us this morning. We had a very wonderful program, Pep Talks in the morning. Like I said, we're doing a hamper drive. So if you are able to contribute to this, 769-4590 is my number. Please, we are a program that is about bringing information to you, asking the right questions of the government. Please stick with us because we are and we do intend to hold them accountable for everything, every expenditure that is made during this time of COVID-19. For the people who need help, reach out to us because we are trying to do as much as possible to help you. This is a period of social distancing, quarantine, and isolation. So be safe, stay at home as much as possible, and remember, let's stay together by staying apart. Bye bye.